Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're going somewhere pretty unique into the hidden side of psychoanalysis. We're looking beyond just the patient's mind.
Right.
Because our material today gives us this, well, incredible look into the analyst's experience with a really, really challenging case.
It's quite something.
And the core idea we're exploring is regression in the countertransference. Sounds technical, I know.
It does a bit, yeah.
But it's profound. It really shifts how we think about therapy. It's about the analyst's own internal world, how they are changed by the work.
Exactly. And why that change in the analyst is actually key to the patient getting better.
So that's our mission for this deep dive.
That's it. To see how analysts actually use their own inner stuff, their experiences, especially with patients who are, severely disturbed.
And how that leads to insights.
The surprising insights, yeah.
Yeah.
And even personal transformation for the analyst.
Yeah.
A really intimate look behind the curtain.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with countertransference itself.
Good place to start.
So basically, it's the analyst's inner psychic experience of the patient. But it's not passive, is it?
Not at all. It's got this dual function, really. First, it helps understand the patient's transferences.
Right, how they replay old relationship patterns.
Exactly. And second is how the analyst processes these things called projective identifications.
Okay, projective identifications. Let's clarify that a bit.
Okay, so imagine a patient feels something overwhelming, like sheer terror, but they can't handle it, can't even name it. They unconsciously kind of deposit that raw feeling into the analyst.
Wow, okay, so the analyst suddenly feels it.
They feel it, that raw terror, but not like it's their personal terror, more like a communication received.
So they're taking in the patient's raw emotional stuff.
Undigested stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And starting to transform it and make it meaningful. It's like embodying a piece of the patient's inner world to understand it.
So how is that different from, a therapist just having a bad day or reacting personally to someone difficult? Is it really a tool?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And Christopher Bollas, a psychoanalyst we're looking at, argues something fascinating.
What's that?
He says this modern focus on countertransference is actually bringing self-analysis back into the core of psychoanalysis.
Self-analysis. Like Freud did.
Exactly. Freud's own self-analysis was sort of seen as a fluke, biographic irregularity, because he didn't have an analyst.
Right.
But now it's seen as vital, an ongoing thing for every analyst. Bollas distinguishes between the self-analytic element, that constant inner stream of thoughts, feelings, daydreams.
It's happening inside.
Right. And self-analysis proper, which is the conscious understanding you get from reflecting on that inner stream, the useful outcome.
Okay, now here's a really interesting, maybe provocative idea from the sources. What if Freud's whole concept of free association, the patient just saying whatever comes to mind?
Yeah, the bedrock of analysis.
What if it actually came from his own inner free associating? That he maybe sort of unwittingly projected onto the patient?
Wow. Okay, that's a big thought.
It is.
If that's true, it changes things. The material suggests this potential error might have led analysts towards believing in a kind of relative neutrality.
Like they were just objective observers.
Kind of, yeah. Creating a split where only the patient's associations mattered.
So countertransference theory then becomes about recovering the analyst's own inner associations.
Bringing their internal world back into the picture.
Exactly. Recognizing the analyst's mind isn't a blank slate, it's an active receiver.
Okay, so the analyst isn't blank. They have this inner receptive space. How does that work with what the patient is bringing?
Well, the analyst creates this sort of internal holding environment. It holds the patient's associations, their transference stuff, but also has to register the analyst's own inner movements simultaneously. There's this great analogy in the text. Like the analyst's mind is a cinema screen.
It gets impressions from both the patient and the analyst. A double projection in an intermediate space, all held within that trained internal environment.
That's a powerful image. Okay, let's ground this. Let's move to the case study.
Yes. The case of Nick really brings this to life.
So Nick is an 18-year-old hospitalized adolescent diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
A very difficult situation.
And his history, extensive drug use, right? Acid, almost everything except heroin.
Yeah, 5 years of heavy use.
History of violence, too. Drew a knife on his mother. Needed physical restraints in the hospital. Disruptive. He had a reputation.
Oh, definitely. And you can feel that reputation hitting the analyst even before they meet.
How so?
The analyst talks about hearing warnings from colleagues, that feeling of Thank God it wasn't me.
Right, that dread.
Analysts form pictures beforehand, of course. But someone like Nick, he sort of enters the conceptual space rather disturbingly, as the text puts it. He knows it too, fosters that image.
So this brings us to phase 1, the psychoanalyst's splitting of the self. The analyst describes the first meeting. It's unsettling. Nick is just static, bizarrely still.
Yeah.
Fixed, sort of mocking smirk, slanted gaze, never changes, and this mechanical head turn every few minutes.
Like a security camera. Intentless emptiness.
Exactly, and
Right.
totally still in the chair for weeks, never moved, never crossed his legs, even lighting a cigarette was robotic, no normal body movement.
And the analyst didn't even fully register how weird it all was until weeks later.
Incredible. What was happening inside the analyst during this?
Oh, an intense struggle. Feeling annoyed for not being his usual analytic self, furious at asking empty questions, feeling deeply false.
Like he wasn't being genuine?
Not at all. The whole burden of keeping things going felt like it was on him. He realized he was not his psychoanalyst self.
He regressed.
Yes, felt he'd regressed by splitting his personality, out of touch with his real self, taken over by this ineffective false self.
Wow.
And the key insight was realizing he was living through an early object relation that characterized Nick's life.
Okay, object relation. Can you explain that a bit more? How is he living through it?
Sure. So object relation basically refers to those deep, often unconscious ways we relate to others based on our earliest experiences, usually with parents or caregivers.
Right.
Here, the analyst was feeling within himself the same kind of empty, disconnected, false way of relating that Nick had experienced early on.
So Nick was recreating his past in the analyst.
Unconsciously, yes.
Yeah.
Pulling the analyst right into that same emotional dynamic, making the analyst feel what it was like to be in that kind of relationship.
Okay, so that's phase 1. Then things shifted.
Dramatically.
Yeah.
Into phase 2, frightened for one's life.
Frightened.
A deep, nameless fear started to build. It wasn't just Nick's fear. It enveloped both of them.
How is it described?
Like that awful moment just before a dream turns into a nightmare. Or like being caught by a huge wave body surfing. That primal feeling of swim for your life.
Intense. And the analyst felt it physically.
Yeah, almost stopped breathing sometimes, barely moved, just
Yeah.
trapped in this fear.
What happened next?
The fear kept building. There was this incident with a fly. Nick saw and heard one that wasn't there.
A hallucination.
Seemed so.
Mm-hmm.
The analyst interpreted it as Nick feeling spied upon.
Mm-hmm.
Then came this extraordinary event.
Go on.
Nick shifted slightly in the leather chair, and it let out this loud shriek. Just a noise.
Okay.
But it startled both of them intensely, and it triggered massive anxiety in the analyst, but also fury.
The fury.
Yeah, it's like, all right, that's enough, God damn it, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like a sudden, powerful determination to speak, to break through.
And that led to the interpretation.
It did. The analyst just came out with it. What is it that does not permit your existence? It's as if you were hiding from a monster. What is this monster? Where is it? Is it me? Am I a monster?
Bollas monster.
A Bollas monster,
Yeah.
referencing the analyst we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And then Nick laughed.
His first laugh.
His first laugh in the therapy. A strange, disembodied laugh bouncing off the wall. But it broke the dreadful silence.
Wow, what a moment. Absolutely. The analyst saw this whole phase as fight for survival. He'd gone from that false self to feeling like an endangered and frightened being.
A lifeless non-entity.
Yes, and that outburst, that interpretation born of fury, felt like it was spoken for the two of us, reclaiming the right to speak, to exist.
And pushing back against, what, the hate?
Sort of reclaiming his own hate, which he felt had been projected out, making the environment feel so dangerous, turning that destructive feeling into something useful, interpretive.
You can just feel the intensity, the sheer emotional labor involved for the analysts there.
It's immense. And this breakthrough led into phase 3, the worried mother in me.
Okay, so the fear subsides.
The intense fear, yes. Nick actually started talking more.
But there's always a but.
His talk was now spiced, as the text says, with calculated provocation.
Like what?
Openly talking about smoking pot in the hospital,
Okay.
stealing M&Ms from the nursing station, sneaking alcohol, stuff guaranteed to cause trouble.
So how did the analyst feel now? From fear to...
To worry. A new kind of anxiety took over, an intrusive worry about Nick getting caught, getting into trouble, and this knee-jerk response to lecture him.
like a parent.
Exactly. The analyst realized Nick was trying to make him worry, and Nick seemed to enjoy it.
Did Nick understand this himself?
He actually made the connection later, said the hospital staff watching him felt just like his mother's fretful and intrusive eyeballing. He even admitted he used to provoke her deliberately,
So the analyst realized
that Nick was bringing out the worrying mother in him, that the analyst was now occupying this fragmented position of the mother's frame of mind.
And incredibly, the mother confirmed this later.
Yeah, she wrote a letter, talked about a time when Nick was about 3.5. She was preoccupied with a family illness, felt intensely cold towards him, and Nick just detached.
So the analyst was experiencing that dynamic firsthand.
But this phase also created huge problems in the hospital setting.
Because Nick was acting out.
Right. He became the topic in morning meetings. Everyone was focused on his behavior.
Which the source says is common.
Yes, a struggle, common to most treatments of a psychotic patient. The patient unconsciously pushes everyone, the analysts, the staff, to see them only as a behavioral object.
Just a bundle of actions, a thing?
Exactly. Which effectively deadens the other's psychological empathy. People stop trying to understand the meaning behind the behavior.
So how does the analyst fight that tide, especially in a hospital team?
It's vital. The analyst has to constantly resist that pull. Keep reminding colleagues about the psychological meaning behind these actions.
Trying to understand why.
Right. Using Bion's terms, the analyst acts as alpha, the thinking processing function, on the beta elements, the raw, undigested facts of Nick's behavior, turning chaos into meaning.
So summing up this phase, the analyst realized Nick was trying to make him into, first, that worried, intrusive mother, and then push further, maybe towards an earlier, deadlier mother who saw him just as a thing.
That seemed to be the unconscious aim, yes.
Yeah.
A terrifying progression.
This case is just incredibly illuminating about the analyst's role. What are the broader takeaways here for treating severely disturbed patients?
Well, it shows the analyst has to, in a sense, live within that environment created by the analysand. They have to undergo this informative regression.
Informative, meaning it informs the analyst.
Exactly. The patient projects parts of themselves, their inner world, their past relationships, into the analyst. It shapes the analyst's inner experience as a way of communicating what can't be said.
So with these patients, the analytic session itself becomes this intermediated psychic reality.
Yes, that's a key phrase. Boundaries blur. The analyst is often not sure at any moment who is carrying what and why.
That sounds incredibly confusing, almost disorienting.
It absolutely can be, which is why time is so important.
Time helps how?
It gives the analyst the space needed to process that raw, lived experience, that informative object relation, and transform it into thought, to eventually objectify his countertransference position into interpretations that make sense.
It's like digesting the experience over time.
Precisely. Digesting and understanding what was initially just felt.
Okay, now here's what feels like the most radical insight from all this. With these kinds of patients, the ones who induce regression in the analyst instead of feeling it themselves, it seems analytic insight and interpretation are, in the first place, curative for the analyst.
Yes. The analyst gets better first.
The psychic change actually begins within the analyst. That completely flips the usual script, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests the analyst's internal work, their own transformation through enduring processing the patient's projected world, is the primary engine of change initially.
Does the patient sense this?
The materials suggest they do. That analysts unconsciously appreciate that inner experience endured by the analyst. They somehow know the analyst is grappling with their inner world, their history.
So the analyst just bearing it, thinking about it.
That tolerance of pain, the sheer effort of thought, even finding some aggressive delight, as the text puts it, in working through these really difficult regressions is heartening.
Heartening for the patient.
Yes, especially for patients trapped in these seemingly impossible mental states, these worlds of seeming no exits. Seeing the analyst survive and make sense of it offers hope.
What a journey we've covered. Through the analyst's countertransference, splitting, terror, becoming the worried mother, resisting that pull towards seeing the patient as just a thing.
It's incredibly demanding work.
It really underscores that therapy at this deep level is profoundly human. A two-way street of transformation.
Absolutely.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to ponder.
What might it mean for how we understand empathy, connection, even healing itself, if sometimes in our most intense interactions, the path to recovery for someone else actually begins not with their change, but with the transformation of our own inner experience?